Hello, my name is Brandon Palmer, and I work as a technical designer at Microsoft. Today, we'll be going over how to use the Toybox package in your own custom environments. This will help you bring your journey through building interactive content to life. But first, we'll be covering some mesh-specific visual scripting nodes used throughout all the activities in the sample project. Now, if you're unfamiliar with the Toybox package, don't worry, we have you covered. However, before following this guide, we recommend having some Unity Engine experience along with visual scripting as well. So, what is Toybox? Toybox is a Unity Engine sample targeted to help empower creators towards building their own interactive experiences. These experiences can be used as a starting point to help build functional prototypes aimed towards amplifying social engagement or just bringing some extra life into your immersive experiences. The Toybox sample also includes a package containing a set of runtime assets built using Unity's visual scripting, mesh physics system, and mesh interactable setup component. This package can be installed in any Unity project, but is not mandatory. You can see that this contains 5 pre-built activities. Fun fact, all these assets provided in the package are used inside the Lakehouse immersive meeting space. Here's some more screenshots of these activities being used inside the Lakehouse. All right, now let's dive into visual scripting for mesh. All runtime assets provided are built using Unity visual scripting, and all visual script flows start in response to an event. You can see in this example, we have the radio asset. It is using onStateChanged, and this is the start of the visual script. Now, visual scripting is designed to work without networking. Therefore, visual scripts run on each client independently. However, since users' mesh experience is shared, all users experience a shared single scene that looks the same on all clients. There's a few important units, also known as nodes, and components to keep track of while building this content. To start off, here's a list of them. onStateChanged, onInterval, local script scope, mesh interactable setup, and mesh interactable body. The onStateChanged event. This event is called when you want to synchronize a change across all clients, such as toggling a Boolean. In this example, we are synchronizing a Boolean named isPlaying across all the clients when the button is pressed. The second node is onInterval. This event triggers regular intervals synchronously on all clients and can check logic frequently. Just be cautious around performance when using this unit. The local script scope. This is critical to help save interactions on performance. Since shared states increase network traffic, the local scene scope can be used to keep track of all variables and allow them to be separated from shared versus local. And finally, we have the mesh interactable setup and mesh interactable body components. These components work hand in hand. If you want to pick up an object, make it equipable, or have a script drive an event, these are required. In this example, we're using these components to pick up a beanbag and throw it. We have other examples in this Toybox sample where you can pick up marshmallows, roast them, and they're both using these components. Great. Now that we covered some of the visual scripting stuff, let's dive into Unity and take a look for ourselves. To get started, please clone, download, or install the Toybox package. You can get this at the GitHub link located below. Also, if you want to learn more, check out learn.microsoft.com for more in-depth information around the Toybox and using these sample projects. Okay, here we are inside the Toybox scene. This scene is comprised of 5 different activities that you can go around and take a look at. We have the sound orbs on this side. We have the icebreaker located right here. We have the fire pit, which we have these 2, and then we have one up on this section too as well. In this room, we have beanbag toss. If you come over to this side, we have a radio that you can click on. And following up on the radio over here too, we have a boombox element that you can also click on and have stuff happen with that. And then we have some shared physics components going on in the background too as well. So an astronaut and some space elements. Okay, now that we just went over all the activities in the scene, I'm going to go over and show you some visual scripting stuff. So I set up this Toybox boombox example. And if I toggle this on, you can see I have it right in the scene here. And I have all of its components built out already, and I'm going to walk you through them. So if I click on the Toybox boombox main prefab, you can see I have variables and I have a script machine. And pretty much the script machine is what drives the entire visual scripts. So you need to add one of these onto your game object that you want to add functionality to. And when you do that, it's going to create a variables component too. And this area will be blank as well until you start to add variables. So now that we're in here, I can see that if I come over to my script graph by hitting edit graph, I have this thing docked down. And if I double click, I can go to full screen. And you can see that this is the flow. And it might look complicated, but it's not too bad. We have this on state change node that's starting the flow. But before diving in, if you haven't used Visual Scripts before, please note that you need to go into the Objects tab, and you can add in your variables directly here. So I can type in like test var as a variable. I can click on this, and I can choose what type of data type I want it to be. In this case, maybe a game object. I can drag this directly in to the scene here. So I have a test variable, and I can also hold down Command and click for setting this variable as well if I need to do that. And you can see that this test variable is not being referenced. To do so, if I come back into Unity, I can click on any game object, such as this boombox, and I could just drag this directly into the game object slot here. And now this is actually being utilized. But in this case, I'm going to delete these because we do have the flow built out. And I'm going to come through the flow. But before doing so, make sure that you go to Microsoft Mesh, Visual Scripting, and hit Configure Project. After you hit Configure Project, it's going to configure all your visual scripts. And then you want to come to Edit, Project Settings, and then come over to Visual Scripting and hit Regenerate Nodes. This is just going to regenerate everything for you. So if you don't see any nodes popping up inside Visual Scripting, just hit this button and it should fix that issue. So I'm going to go into the full screen mode now. So you can see that I have on state changed, and this is pretty much changing states every time the button is pressed on the boombox. So I have a is selected locally plugged in directly into state change, and I'm referencing the button object. So you can see here that this is selected locally. It needs a mesh interactable body object, and the button game object has that on there. If I go back, you can see that this button game object has the mesh interactable body, a mesh interactable setup on it, as well as the local scene scope. And I have a capsule collider too as well, so it can be triggered. So I have, if this is pressed, and if this is true, I have an is pressed variable here, then make it not is pressed. So every time it clicks on it, it will toggle the is pressed variable that I have. And if I come down, you can see I have another on state changed, and I'm just checking for is pressed. So if it's is pressed, then I can go into another flow that says do stuff. And I have the subgraph here. This is just a clean way to house all your nodes. If you want to create a subgraph, all you have to do is just right click and hit subgraph. And this part is great because if I do this, I can have different inputs. I can have things plugging in and out, and I can plug these into different parts like functions, right? So I'd want to give it a name, and then I want to hit convert, and that will allow me to just save this graph inside my scripts folder. But in this case, we have one. So I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to come in here, and you can see that this is the subgraph. And inside the subgraph here, if I scroll down, I can see I have these trigger inputs, and I just typed in here, and that allows me to actually make this connect the flows together. And then I also have a data input, which is pressed. It's a Boolean, so I can see that if is pressed, then continue with the flow. So if is pressed, we can go to play audio, and I'm referencing the audio variable. And if it's not pressed, we can just stop the audio or make sure the audio is not on. So I'm just referencing the same variable. Then same thing with this animator set trigger. I can actually select the play boolean that I have, or I can stop it through this part. And then same thing with the particle system. I can hit play or I can stop. And if you're curious about the animator stuff too as well, I can come back in here and you can see that this boombox does have, it should have an animator component on it. It does. It has one on the Toybox boombox. And if I go into the animator, I can see that these little triggers here have a play and it has a stop, and that's what's being referenced. So if I want to check this script in action, we can come into the game view and I can hit play and I can test it out. Okay, cool. Now that we went over the visual script, let's see this in action. If I come over to the boombox, I can tap on it and I can see the boombox playing. All right, now that we went over the boombox setup inside Toybox and then also the activities as well, you can bring any Toybox activity over into your own custom environments as well. And this can be done through the packages, right? So if I come over to Window, I come over to Package Manager, and I have that window popped up here. I can see I have the Toybox package selected, and it's already installed. And if I come into my Packages folder inside the project folder, and I can come down, I can see inside the Runtime folder, I have Boombox here, and I have prefabs. I'm able to drag and drop the Toybox boombox directly in my scene, place it where I want to place it. This is fine for now. And I can come in and I can go to game view and I can hit play. Okay, now that we're in full screen game mode, I can come over to the boombox and I can click on it and I can see it play the visual scripts that we created earlier. Well, thanks for watching, and for more info, please see the links in the description below.